So we'll start with the November statement of revenues and expenditures. After 8 months ending November 30th, the consolidated operating income before capital contributions and non-operating expenses is $4.9 million. Our regular line revenues are 11% over budget and 24% over prior year. Currently, fixed route ridership is trending 13% over prior year. Our special line revenues are 4% under budget due to lower than anticipated revenues for the New York State Fair parking rides and SU Dome service. Advertising and other revenues are trending close to budget in prior year. Our operating expenses are $7.9 million or 13% under budget, and 6% over prior year. All expense lines are trending under budget except for purchase transportation, which has been the same story the entire year. Purchase transportation is over budget 28% and 42% over prior year. Currently, our purchase transportation vendors are providing 82% of the service requested, and ridership has increased 19% compared to the same period last year. And all other expense lines continue to trend as they have in prior months. Any questions on this?
Very similar to prior months that we've been discussing here, we're positioned with, as you'll see, with cash especially, okay, we're managing that quite well. But there's not been a lot of change with Linda's reporting and Melissa's reporting over the last few months.
Our non-operating revenues are 6% under budget and consistent with prior year. Operating assistance is $3.3 million or 7% under budget. Our increased STOA has resulted in a reduced need for the federal operating assistance, our ART funds, which we draw based on operational needs. Mortgage tax revenue is trending 12% under budget and 22% under prior year. Increases in the interest rates have resulted in decreases in mortgage tax receipts at this time. And our investment revenue is currently $729,000 over budget and $780,000 over prior year.
With those federal funds, if we don't use them, we don't get them.
No, we'll use them, but they don't go away.
They don't go away, okay.
November's mortgage tax receipts total $614,000. This is $206,000 less than November 22 totals. Our MRT is $1.5 million under budget and $722,000 under prior year. MRT receipts continue to trend lower than the prior year. Prior 2 years is almost in line with fiscal year 21, as you can see in that graph. So as of November 30th, our unrestricted operating fund totaled approximately $22 million. The balance increase from prior month is attributed to the receipt of a quarterly STOA payment. And just so you're aware, our quarterly STOA payment is approximately $12.4 million. Our money market board designated funds total approximately $3.5 million, and the money market investment accounts are provided interest rates between 2.1 and 3.5%. Our treasury bill board designated reserve investments total approximately $12.3 million. At maturity, the anticipated return is approximately $333,000. Just so you're all aware, board designated reserves are accounts to retain emergency funds for unanticipated future events.
And I think what the team has done a good job by maximizing the interest, especially if you look at those rates right now. They're pretty decent rates that are in secure investments. Treasuries is basically investing in your government. So if the government closes, I think we're in a lot of trouble. But otherwise, those are, I think there's 5% there.
Yep, 5.25, 5.18, 5.26.
In addition to being secure, we're very liquid. So if we need them, she can access it anytime.
As of November 30th, the total unrestricted cash balance is approximately $25.8 million. We received $15 million from operations, MRT and STOA, and $4.3 million in federal reimbursements. And we've expended about $7.5 million for operations on a monthly basis. So at the end of November, the combined unrestricted cash balance combined with the four designated funds totals $41.8 million. So the next thing on your agenda would be the TAM plan, but if you don't mind, I'm gonna just continue on with the long-range transportation plan. And then Tara can present after me. So, this is not something we need the board to approve, it's just informational. Last month you approved our capital budget and our 5-year transportation plan, capital transportation plan. As you know, the capital planning committee that we created is responsible for building our capital improvement plan. And with the committee, members will assess and prioritize the capital projects and asset replacements based on alignment with the authority's strategic priorities, compliance requirements, and funding strategies, including keeping our facilities and physical assets in a state of good repair. So this long-range plan contains projected estimates. As you know, our world is constantly changing. Just as with our operational budget, you base the estimates on what you know today. Things like inflation, technology is constantly changing, our goals or priorities might change. So next I just want to bring up the plan, bear with me. That's all I wanted to do. There we go. So this is the long-range transportation plan. Can you see that okay? So the first column is our current fiscal year, and then there's another 9 years out. The highlighted above from state fiscal year or authority fiscal year 24-25 through state fiscal year 29-30, you've already reviewed and approved those years. But these in the years going out, there can still be changes, and there may be a lot more changes due to the things that are going on. But we talked about what's going on right now with the BRT, bus replacements, and facilities upgrades, and then with Utica we have the Oneida consolidation. What I wanted to do right now is turn it over to Tara to kind of explain how this relates to this DIP, which she's responsible for.
Good morning, everyone. So the long-range transportation plan is kind of a guideline, if you will, or an outline of what our vision is for the future. What do we want to do with our fleet, our facilities? What are our projects, thoughts, and visions? So what you see in front of you, highlighted years, highlighted columns, federal fiscal year 23, 24, 25, and 26, are approved on the statewide transportation improvement plan. That is what's known as the STIP. So this document will help us create our internal transportation improvement plan. That is called a TIP. And the TIP is a list of specific projects that federal aid is anticipated to fill. Once we have those projects planned and estimated, ready to go, we can apply at the MPO level or the metropolitan planning organizations that we have in both Onondaga County and Oneida County. So they have to oversee urbanized areas, if you will. So at the federal level, any area that has a population larger than 50,000 has to have an MPO by federal decree. So these planning, organizations, they get their long-range transportation plan in order based on our projects. So they will get approved onto their TIP and then forwarded to New York State and onto the statewide transportation improvement program. From there, we can apply for these projects to receive federal funds. So basically this document is the vision that sends us forward. And there's a process by which we have to go through to get our projects onto something that looks like this. This is the New York State STIP. So we currently now have 4 active years. There is a 5th year that is considered outlining, so as long as it's here, we can go forward and apply for them in a specific federal grant year.
Is Cayuga and Oswego included in the Onondaga loan?
No, because they receive different monies. They don't receive federal 5307 or 5339 funds, which is what is on this specific plan. They receive 5311 funds because they're rural. So they have a document that we track a little separately.
So the only other thing I really wanted to say about, this spreadsheet in particular, the funds surplus / deficit column, just wanted to show you year over year, that it's funding. We have a carry forward. There's a couple years out in 30 and 31, we'll have to make some adjustments, but, all of this is based on estimates. You know, the estimate of federal funding we're gonna get, state funding. So this is a constantly changing document, but, just happy to report that we have a funded capital plan. You have any questions?
Where do you find the funds for shelters?
They're 5307.
And so you don't record them here?
We would record them here if a project was in the works or ready to go. So to give you a little more detail, in the darker blue highlight, you'll see the projects that are bolded. The bolded black means that they are projects set on the STIP, they have been approved to the STIP. So if we don't have shelters that are coming in that 4 years, you wouldn't see them there. But the project may come 6 years down the road. So we leave it as a category.
That would be under the recommendations.
It would be in its own line. There's a bus shelter line that we would break that out. So our categories are set based on the federal categories that would go into grants.
Any other questions? Okay. So, that's concludes the financial statements. Next on the agenda was Tara's motion for town plan.
We have a transit asset management plan, which you guys have heard about over the last handful of years. We have brought it to the board for approval. Every 4 years, it requires a resolution made for approval. This does not, we wanna make an edit to the plan. We wanna change the accountable executive, and that's just the individual that oversees the plan, the compliance, and the follow through. We're doing the pieces we say that we are doing. It is a federal requirement, and we do report to them based on this. And currently, the accountable executive is the VP of Fleet and Facilities, and we would like to change that to the VP of Finance.
Why?
Linda?
Is that what you want?
Just why? Why?
Oh, why? Just because, the capital plan is resided within the finance area. That's all.
And even though there's an accountable executive, though, there is teams that work on this, so it's not just a singular person. The accountable executive oversights and makes sure compliance is happening, and we are doing what we say we're doing within the plan. But it's not within a vacuum, so it will have all the other departments in it as well.
So did you make a motion?
Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna need, first of all, I need a motion on the
Financial.
financial piece. Okay, Tina, Darlene, second, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Okay, then we're gonna go into the transit asset management plan, motion, Monty, second, Neil, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Good job with that, too. Now, let me know, one question, so the money for the Oneida facility, is that in that,
Can you tell?
or that's separate?
No, that's in the
Yeah,
plan.
I thought that, but that's gonna be a big number, right?
There was one years out where you see it did the 15 million, I don't know.
So we have money broken out to start with, land acquisition if needed, and
Right,
engineering.
so a couple
and then-
pots, maybe,
Yeah, and then
Okay.
further years out, we have the construction money,
the total budget probably could be up to 30.
potentially.
So we'll need to, as we learn more about that facility and what the needs are, we need to build that into the plan.
It's either that or we can buy some boats.
Everybody gets.
Second.
away. We're thinking they're more like canoes or little skips, I'm not sure they're.
I was gonna say canoes?
Yeah,
That's definitely,
maybe a paddle boat.
that's a disruptor in Utica when it rains.
Yeah, knock on wood.
So, anything else, Linda?
That's it.
Melissa, anything else?
I'm good, thank you.
You're good, okay. We have no resolutions today, so, that kind of is gonna conclude our audit and finance committee meeting. You guys didn't make me work that hard today. I feel guilty.
You need a break.
All right, we'll take a couple minutes and then we'll get moving. Welcome to the December meeting. Let's stand and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I think it's pretty appropriate that during this holiday season, EJ would lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
See, I tried to.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Quorum is present. Next meeting date will be January 26th. We have a pension committee at 9 o'clock. Hopefully, we finish strong this year, so those reports look very good when we see them in January. Of course, we have an audit finance committee. We'll commence our regular scheduled board meeting at 10 o'clock. I have a motion to approve the regular minutes of the November 17th meeting. Darlene, second. Tina, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve the special meeting minutes of December 1st, 23. Julius, second. Luella, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, at this point, I want to recognize a retirement of someone. This is going to be a tough retirement, and she's not here for me to say some kind words because she's helping set up for our holiday gathering shortly. The person that is going to be retiring is Carol Lombardo. Wow, yeah, she's I've worked personally very close with Carol for all her tenure here. So try to put together a couple words on behalf of the board here. Carol started with the authority in June of 12 as the executive assistant. In her 11 plus years, she has worked alongside several executive directors and CEOs and supported the board chairmen and the board. She's also been a person to support and coordinate all our monthly board meetings, and she's our go-to person. Okay, and when you have multiple people that are sometimes requesting things, it's always, I think she has a lot of patience and a lot of dedication. She is putting final touches on the holiday party like she always does, and I didn't want to change the way she does things. But she's been that lead planner for many years, and I think we've been fortunate, the board and the leadership and everybody here. Carol's always she's always been very welcoming to me, and I know of all of us. Truly going to be missed. Truly going to be missed. I think she was very passionate about her work. Okay, and she kept poking at us when she needed something to know. She kept poking at us, and
In a nice way.
in a nice way. It worked. It worked because it was like, geez, do I get another communication or I just get this work done for her, right? But we're very, very lucky, very, very fortunate, hardworking individual, great family person. I had to sit down with her this week. We had a little discussion. The time seems to be right. The time seems to be right. And I guess when it's right, it's right. And I know she has a whole other part of her life that she wants to accomplish. And I know Chris is working on a transition, which we'll update next month on that. And I think even though she's in the room, I think we need to give her a round of applause. She'll be retiring January 1st. January 1st, new year, new venture for Carol. Okay, moving on here. Chris, want to report out?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the board. Update on the COVID emergency funds. I apologize for the misplaced total line. That was a formatting error on my part, but you see the number for November, 314,000. That's a significant drop from what you saw in October and even September, which is due to the pay weeks, the Thanksgiving holiday, and reduced service around that holiday, as some of our contracted service reduces during that same time frame. So we're down withdrawn now about 22 million, just over 22 million of the 38.5. Back on November 29th, several staff members, Linda, Steve, Jeff, myself, met with New York State DOT Assistant Commissioner Janet Ho. She's been a great supporter of transit, very involved in NIPTA. She brought out, along with her, the Director of Public Transportation Bureau from NISDOT, Ross Farrell, and then Allison Bradley, who is the Assistant Secretary of Transportation from the Governor's Office. So to have them on site, we gave them a tour of the facility and then just had a good sit-down conversation on projects, events, things that are going on here in Syracuse, to make them aware and updated on our future, our current, and, gaining their support and giving them hands-on view of what we do on a day-to-day basis was a great conversation, very well received, and I think productive for long-term projects that we have going on. The second one, the holiday season events, the item, these are the times that I think, bring a lot of fun and excitement to what we do on a day-to-day basis outside of just running buses. But we can use our buses for great opportunities to support the community. So in past holiday seasons, we partnered with several organizations to provide food, gifts, access to Lights on the Lake, and we've done that again this year with some new partnerships. So back last week, December 9th, we partnered with the Salvation Army, Lamar Transit, and Velocity Clinical Research to do a Stuff-A-Bus event at Walmart in Cicero. So we got some pictures of the event that took place last week to show you the outpouring support that we had for this event. Currently, the marketing team is delivering not only the items in this bus, but also we did a collection internally among our employees and staff to collect toys, food, that will be distributed with the Salvation Army's Christmas Bureau program out of the On Center. You can keep scrolling through with it. So, we have our staff, our marketing team that was involved, Lamar Transit in the bottom left, the Nicole Wafer in the bottom left of both pictures, and then Velocity, who's in the middle of the picture on the right with Casey Brown, Rachel Bachman, and then that's Rachel in the top. So they actually handed out flyers at the entrance as people entered Walmart with a list of items that they were looking to collect through the Salvation Army. So when people came out, they could come over to the bus and actually fill the bus with those items. Continue on. So Jeff showed up, provided his support as well. Lynette there in the middle. But as you can see, the filling of the bus, I mean, just a tremendous event that we're proud of and we've been doing for several years, but to continue to see this grow is great. We also have another event, in this case, Lights on the Lake. So we partnered again last year with City Parks and Rec and Onondaga County Parks and Rec, Galaxy Radio, to provide opportunities for individuals and kids that would never have access or do not have means to access Lights on the Lake for whatever means. So we've coordinated with City Parks and Rec with their recreation locations to provide 2 buses to transport these individuals through Lights on the Lake. We had certainly Santa hopped on the bus at the entrance, handed out candy canes and greeted all the children. We had music, we had the lights, the drivers got involved in it and dressed up. So it was very well received, and here they are driving through Lights on the Lake. And we also partnered with Boys and Girls Club this year. It was the first time we partnered with them to provide the similar feature
That's
outside.
a nice picture.
Yeah. So we did 6 different dates. I can't recall the number of participants, but it's very exciting to be able to provide this and see the excitement on the kids' faces as they drive through to see what the county and the city have done to provide this. And I want to thank the marketing team, Lynette, Rachel, Casey, Steve, even with his oversight with this. I mean, Lynette their team puts in a lot of work. They're staying late night hours to get these pictures and help support the supervisors and the operators during these events. I challenge her every year to continue to grow and expand this outreach, and she's hit the mark and continued to run with it. And so I thank her and her team and her efforts to do this, and we look forward to seeing what we can do next year. Another event that we haven't done yet, but I'll let the board know, we partnered for a similar Stuff-A-Bus event that we did with the Salvation Army with the SPCA and the Second Chance. So that event will actually take place tomorrow at the Cicero Walmart to collect supplies for our fur friends, to help with the supplies and the demand right now at the shelters. Troy Wapner, who was formerly with the state fair, you know, we've talked about partnerships, and he's reached out to see if we can do a similar event for them. I know they've seen excess animals being brought to them, and their support. They're looking for support, so we've offered to help them and expand outside of just people, but also the animals. And then, you know, the continuous meetings, various meetings that we're having, IBI, our consultants with BRT. We had a meeting with the city to update them on that. Oneida County Rural Transit, Micron, Fairbox stuff. So meetings are continuing going on, and progress is continuing to be made. And with that, if there's any questions.
I'd like to have Neil join myself and the team for a meeting at City Hall with the mayor and the BRT. I want to thank Neil for making sure I got there too. Maybe you could just say a couple words on what the vision for the city is on the BRT.
Sure. So, as was mentioned, you know, we had a recent meeting with the mayor's office and the city's executive leadership team. Just to hear more about, you know, Central's position and planning efforts, moving into the engineering efforts, which will move into the construction efforts for BRT, but also, you know, the future of transit as a whole in the city. So it was a very productive discussion. We also discussed some of the elements in which the city will play a role in supporting transit through pedestrian connections and right-of-way items, as well as just general operations, things you might not think about, snow clearing, stuff like that. So it's a very fruitful discussion, and it's a partnership. It really is, because without Central, the city wouldn't be able to function the way that it does. So hopefully it's the start of many more discussions to
A
come.
nice meeting with the mayor. The deputy mayor was present. What was the gentleman planner? What's his position?
Greg, Director of Strategic Initiatives and all the important stuff.
Right.
Getting stuff on the mayor's desk.
And
I think
one
is-
other person was there. One other person.
Jen, who's the, she does special projects for the mayor's office.
So
Yeah.
they did really
She deals with the ARPA funds, so it's a big team.
I want to thank Steve. Steve did, I thought, a really good job with his involvement there. And, you know, and I think, was upfront about when we think the date's gonna be for this. You know, everybody likes to have things right away, but Steve, I think, who said Steve, 25, Steve, is the date? 25, 26, yeah, in that range, so. Julius?
Did any of the council members show up at the meeting? Was that the meeting?
No, it was directed by the executive. Yeah. And also Brent did a good job too. She did a good job, very represented Central very well along with Chris. So it was a nice meeting. Good. Anything else for Chris? Okay. Thank you.
And we'll go into legislative reports. We'll start with Linda. Or staff reports, sorry, not legislative reports. Staff
little bit
reports.
shocking.
No legislative reports right now. Staff reports, sorry.
So, one of my areas of responsibility is the payroll department, which transitioned from human resources to finance over the past few years. In about April of this year, we actually have a full transition into the finance area. Payroll team's led by Melissa, and the team consists of Anne Marie Brennan, our payroll manager, Jamie White, our payroll analyst, and Kara McDonald, our accountant, back up to payroll. And one of the initiatives of this payroll team has been improving communication with staff and making themselves more available for throughout the organization and all the properties. Specifically on a quarterly basis, the team has been making themselves available in the maintenance and operations areas, and to answer questions, educate, and receive feedback on their payroll needs. And we've received a lot of positive feedback from staff on how much they appreciate these efforts. So I just wanted to inform the board that that is something that we're doing and will continue to do going forward. We're also working on bringing, and this is part of the finance team initiatives, bringing on outside vendors to assist with education as well. One of the things Melissa coordinated for this month, and I'll let her speak to this, is she brought in a JP Morgan Chase representative to be available to for staff to highlight ideas on setting financial goals for 2024. And it was this week, and it was very successful. Melissa, you wanna?
Yeah, I guess I'll do it just from here. So, as Linda said, we do this on a quarterly basis. It's really just to, when payroll was in HR, it was downstairs and all employees could access them very freely, and we didn't want that to be taken away once it moved upstairs to accounting. So that has been our main effort. This quarter, we are focused on financial goals into 2024. Being part of finance, that's really important to me. And one of the things we've heard over the last several quarters is education of our younger staff, and how do we educate them on how to save for the future? Yeah, how to prepare, how to not live paycheck to paycheck. So Ramonda from JP Morgan Chase came in. It's a service that JP Morgan offers for community involvement. So they're not there to sell you a savings account or have you buy a CD. It's really just for education. She had budget worksheets. She talked to people how to call their banks and maybe lower their interest rate on a credit card. It was all about just education, and she spent 2 days with us, and we believe it was a successful event.
And on the screen is a post, she actually did 2 posts, which were very complimentary to us, about the whole event, thanking us, and how excited she was to be able to talk to staff. And that one, and there was one yesterday too as well, where she was thanking the union representatives for actually bringing people in and helping them get educated. So it was a very positive thing. Very appreciated by
That's good.
all.
Excellent.
That's it.
Good job, Linda, with that. Jackie?
Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to update you on a couple of things that have been happening in HR. One is I attended the NICA conference back in the end of October, beginning of November, and I was actually selected as a panelist on the recruiting and retention board. So there was a session held on that. It was a really great session. It showed that we are not the only transit agency in this state going through the problems that we're going through, and there is just not one basic answer to solve those problems either. It's a number of different areas that transit agencies are looking at. It's not only like sign-on bonuses, maybe offering PTO or partnerships with DOL. Even agencies have said, when they increase their rates, then the schools will increase their rates, and they're jumping back and forth. And so it's not just one solution to these problems. There's a number of solutions that we have to look at. So I just wanted to let everybody know on that. I think that NICTA was talking about doing it again next year at their conference again, because it went over so successfully.
Right.
And there was a lot of participation through the active members that were there in the audience too. So it was great. The new training class. So we currently have 8 operators now that have their CDL licenses in Syracuse. We have 3 operators in Cayuga, 2 operators in Oswego, and 5 in Utica or Oneida area. That's a total of 18 operators that came out of this fall class. We started with 22, Syracuse lost 3, and Cayuga lost 1. So there are, unfortunately, events that happen. We are moving forward with our open house in January. January 6th, we're gonna have another open house. Steve has already put the media together on that, so we'll see that coming out shortly and soon. One of the things that we are going to do for this open house is Anybody who comes in, a lot of people we get that don't have their CDL permits and they're interested for working for Centro. And people have struggled to get their CDL permits. So the second week in January, we're gonna be offering classes, to anybody, that wants to come drive for Centro to help them obtain their CDL permits. It's gonna be a 3 days that week. The first day we'll focus on general practices on the CDL permit. The second day we'll probably focus more on the air brakes, and the third day we'll focus on the passenger endorsements. We're also opening that up because we have some servicers too that struggle to get their permits here. And we're going to have any servicers that we have hired now, they can attend these classes too. So we're hoping that that may help in the recruiting too for the company. And lastly, I just want to mention that we just went through, probably back in the beginning of the fall, an audit from the FTA on our Centro Substance Abuse Program. It was a very informational audit. A lot of information was requested and everything. We received a letter from the FTA that we are in compliance with that audit. So good news, and I wanted to thank Chris Moriel and Kayla Garcia. They were the two that really gathered all the information and answered all the questions that were brought upon this audit by the FTA. And that concludes, yes, Julius.
People who have a problem getting their CDL, how are you gonna promote that? You're gonna let them know?
So when they come on January 6th, we always provide them a booklet to study for their CDL permit. We're also going to attach a piece of paper and let them know that we are going to be having those classes and when the times are going to be. We're looking at having them in the late day, so like 5:30 probably starting them. So if it's anybody who works during the day, at least they'll have an opportunity to come in the evening.
From your conference, was there any best practices you took away from, or were you gonna be part of that best practice group?
There's nothing that we kinda aren't doing that's already out there except for signing bonuses, and the signing bonuses were something that the one panelist on that panel was more part of the healthcare industry than the transportation industry. So we are branching out more into the communities. We're gonna look further at, DOL. NFTA is kind of working with DOL and to see if there's anything that they can help them with in recruiting. So we're gonna do the same thing. I mean, everybody's kind of doing a lot of the same practices. The one thing that we're doing, which we offered to other agencies, is the open house on property. We found that that's working better than going out to these job fairs. And that was a lot of people were like, oh, all right, well, maybe we should start doing that then. We're trying to think of, more ideas. One of the ideas that was presented to us is, do we have, and this was from inside, one of Steve's, I think, employees said, do we have a kind of like an open job fair to kind of get Central out there, just to say, not only do we offer, bus operator positions, we have mechanic positions, we have servicer positions, we have accounting positions, we have HR positions, like kind of like a career fair at Central.
More than family bus.
Yeah.
When you get all the information, you gotta make sure you get a copy, so when we meet, the board meetings, we can put more time.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Yes.
So I called you before about Rick and them, so for that group, should I, when I get back in touch with Rick, say, hey, you should come for the 6th? Let him know and.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. If he has any candidates or that, they're looking to send our way, sure. Absolutely, that would help immensely. I mean, we'd like to have a large class in January.
Yeah, but some of them just already have license, so that may help even more.
That would be, yes, that's usually fantastic because, I mean, all we have to do is just train them on central policies and procedures a lot of times. Any other questions?
Nice report.
Thank you.
Steve?
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members of the board. Hope your PC is off to a swell start. To give you an update on our ridership, it's trending, still trending up. The month of November, we were up about 8%. City services tend to trend a little advance of that. Syracuse were up 11%. Rome were up 11%. Auburn was about 6%. The commuter service is up about 17%. Oswego, Fulton, Mexico up about 15%. So it's still trending in the right direction. We're going to start seeing those percent changes diminish over the next few months because last year this time ridership started to tick up a little bit. So I think those large double-digit increases over the previous year are going to slow down. And we're getting to the point I think where we're going to be very close to next year being maybe a flat to 1 to 3% increase. I think we're probably where we're going to be for a little bit until we can get some more service on the road in Syracuse. But yeah, it's stronger than it was last year, which is good. Our contracted services are picking up a little bit. We're carrying more students at SUNY Oswego, carrying more students at Syracuse University, so that's good.
You the person that we contact for as like I ride a bus on Sunday morning when I runs my service. Sometimes we have a lot of people who come through the court down there, and they cause a lot of problems Sunday morning sometimes. You deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, you send it. You just let our complaint department know. Call customer service. They'll funnel it to the correct department. We'll kind of try to identify what's going on and who should kind of try to address it, whether it's a supervisor or whether it's a service-related issue. So
we have a few people who I know on Sunday morning. They are really causing.
You're not going to church.
You know that.
on Sunday mornings, huh?
Sunday morning.
That's the first one. That's a new one for me. I haven't heard about complaints on Sunday morning service.
That from Saturday night.
Yeah, exactly. Any questions regarding ridership and?
When I walked in today, I saw the piece downstairs of the airport service.
Yes.
How's that going?
Airport service is going well. We're definitely providing trips to people getting to and from the airport, mostly workers. Occasionally we'll take a couple of passengers here and there, but the service was designed for the workforce there. The airport's very happy. We're happy. I think we're going to take a look at a way that perhaps we can provide the service, continue to provide the service to the airport, but then revisit some of the service we took away from individuals in that corridor. Maybe we can do provide service to both locations. We have a little more time in the trip than we anticipated, so I think going forward we might take a look at returning service to this area called Florida Road and Malden, Malloy in that area. So we're going to take a look at that. Maybe not be every trip, but I think that probably would serve the community a little better.
Because you have more time, we're going to get more drivers.
We have more time in that route than we anticipated. There's some layover time at the end that the route is not as long from a trip as we anticipated. It's moving along faster than we thought. What we cut out created a lot of time for us to get to the airport, and getting in and out of the airport has not been an issue from a operational standpoint.
Construction-wise, not an issue.
No, we're really concerned about traffic and drop-offs and pickups for passengers, and that really hasn't materialized much at all. So it's good. Yeah. So it's the service. I'm confident that the service in the airport is going to survive long term. It's just a matter of how we serve that corridor. So that's good. Good question. Thank you.
You should be happy.
I'm happy. I'm very happy. It's exciting times. Brent's going to come up here and talk about BRT on demand. We're getting close with on demand in Rome. We've had some good meetings. There's support for it, and the drivers are very excited about it.
Good to see that roll out.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, and we had a kickoff meeting yesterday. I don't want to take any Brent's thunder, but we had a kickoff meeting yesterday, or it was Wednesday, Maybe we should. Yeah, my days are all falling out together. With VIA, we'll operate it, their software we're gonna use, and they are on top of it. They've done it with 150 transit agencies. We're just the next one in line, and it's gonna go great. Yeah.
I know you're thinking long range also about when A1's construction started. So you're anticipating.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have regular meetings with DOT. DOT's been a great partner. They reach out to us anytime they close a street or have to, change traffic flow. We meet with them. We're going to be meeting with them quarterly to get advance notice to know when they're going to be shutting some of these streets down. So our planning department then can make adjustments. Right now with 41 and those type of changes, it doesn't really affect us much.
Okay.
Once the viaduct starts to come down,
Right.
then it's going to be a little different.
That's a long range.
Yeah, exactly. And so we'll be working hand in hand with DOT on those types of adjustments. We're going to be in detour a lot. It's going to be a lot of detours. Will routes change because of the viaduct construction? Probably not. We'll just put them on detour. After it's completed, then we're going to take a look at, we're going to want to be on Almond Street. We're going to be on some other locations where we want to run transit services. And we may do some park and rides during the deconstruction and reconstruction phases where, we can set up park and rides for community members who want to get downtown and not have to deal with any potential backups, but we'll see how that plays out. It's one of those things where you kind of get a feel for it as it rolls out and see what the reaction from the community is. Trying to predict commuter behavior is very difficult. Very difficult, especially in an area where you have a really robust secondary road network where people might say, man, I can take the bus, but I can just spend an extra 3 or 4 minutes in my car going around the project and getting to where I need to be. So we'll see how that goes out. Any other thoughts, questions?
I'm glad that we're, that BRT, that we're rolling it out in Rome. It's a smaller property that lets us educate ourselves quite well on this. So I think that was a good move on the authority's part.
Yeah, and we also met with our counterparts in Albany and Rochester and chatted with them. Really got a feel for the lessons they learned when they roll it out first. Sometimes it's great to be on the leading edge, but sometimes it's the bleeding edge, and they have some regrets of what they've done that we're going to try to avoid when we run it out, and to make it a better experience for our customers. To put it that way. So, but we're excited. It's going to be good. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brent Dice. We'll give you further details on a lot of the projects we just discussed.
Good job, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Good morning,
Good
Mr.
morning.
Chairman and members of the board. So y'all have been stealing my thunder,
Oh.
right? You're talking about all the stuff that I want to talk about. We'll start with the BRT update. I know you've been chatting about it already, but we are moving forward. It is exciting to see. Last month we had oh boy, my screen just went slow. Hold on one second. Last month we had an in-house workshop with Arcadis IBI, who's our consultant, and it was great. We spent several days with them working on alignment alternatives, stop locations, key focus locations, stop typologies, so what the stations might look like, capital needs, and we really just went through each of those items one by one and took the time to do some deeper dives. As you know, we are wrapping up the Smart One update, and that will be wrapped up in first quarter of 2024. And this phase of the project will have deliverables such as cost estimation, implementation plans, and operation plans. So we'll have the plans to keep us moving forward. We also met with the mayor's office, as y'all discussed, and we're excited that the city of Syracuse is our partner, right? They're not just a stakeholder, but we are partnering with them, and we need each other. You said that y'all need us, but we need you as well. So I'm glad to be partnering with that team, and that was a really good meeting. I agree. And in 2024, we'll also be bringing more stakeholders to the table. So as we're moving forward, we'll be having ramping up our stakeholder meetings this coming year so that everyone is aware of what's coming and aware of our implementation plan and how it is moving forward again for 25-26 rollout. The next topic was on demand, and as Steve told you, we've been working with our vendor VIA. Super excited that they are on board, and actually they are. I think we are more. I don't want to say nervous, but we are more. Because we've never done this, VIA has done this so many times that they said, oh, this is a leisurely timetable and we are good to go. And that was nice to hear them say, you know, they got it, we're good, our timetable is good for that spring rollout in Rome. We'll be able to finalize plans for the service with them. We've sent over all of our information that we've done thus far. And it was also nice to hear from them that they said, hey, you guys are ahead of the game. You really have thought through a lot of issues that we don't have to think through because you've already resolved them. So that was nice to hear from them as well.
Before you go, question on that, Jim.
Yes, sir.
I knew you indicated you meet with the mayors. How you have a lot of new council members coming in now. Have you ever thought about meeting with them? I don't know how.
We haven't yet met with the Common Council members, but I'm sure that that will be on the agenda for 2024. We'll probably do some kind of presentation at the board level, and certainly let the mayors.
Have a lot of new Common Council members coming in.
Exactly. Want to bring everybody up to speed and make sure they're all on board as to how we're moving that forward. Steve also touched on the fact that we've been reaching out to our sister properties along the Thruway. We went to Rochester in October and really kind of sat at the table for a good portion of the day diving into their on-demand system. So Rochester, I think I can say out loud that they had some hiccups along the way. When they rolled out their program, they had some challenges that they realized needed to be fixed along the way, and are in good shape now. But it was nice to be able to sit with them and get their feedback as to what maybe they would have done differently from the beginning, so that we don't make those mistakes. Certainly it's nice that there are organizations along the Thruway across the country that have done this already, and so nice to see those best practices. And coming up next, we have our public hearing for the on-demand service that will be in Rome on January 4th. That is a Thursday, and we're having that between 5 and 6 p.m. That'll be at the South Rome Senior Citizen Center, which is on Ridge Street in Rome. We're excited about that process, getting all the boards ready for our presentation, and hope that we have a good turnout. Again, we've done outreach in Rome. We had a great couple week in September with riders, and talked to probably 50 or 60 riders and got their feedback, told them our ideas. We've had great conversations with our drivers who have given us really good feedback and really been engaged, which is awesome. We also met with stakeholders in the late summer and early fall, so we've kept up with Hawks, Oneida County, the City of Rome, MDCC, and MD Edge, which is their economic development arm. And also within the last 2 weeks, Steve and I have been out to Utica presenting to the Hawks committees. There have been 3 committees that we've presented to, just to make sure that everybody is in the loop and understands what's coming. And again, advertising for that public hearing, which is on January 4th. So all that is to say, we're on schedule for a spring 2024 rollout in Rome. Super excited. And lastly, exploring tomorrow's transit. Just wanted to give you a quick update as to where we are with that. If you remember, that is that year-long public outreach effort that we've been doing with SMTC. SMTC is awesome. They've really been instrumental in moving that project forward and helping us to organize and organizing for us. They've been great in that public outreach effort here in Syracuse and Onondaga County. So we've wrapped up all those meetings. We've wrapped up the final report. SMTC has wrapped up the final report for us, and they'll be sending that final report to their board in February for final approval. So it doesn't have final approval yet, but we have a final draft, and we're happy with it. And now we're thinking of what else are we going to work with SMTC next, because it was such a fun process to work with them through this year. Also, we know that just because we're finished with that public outreach effort with SMTC doesn't mean we're finished with public outreach. Of course, we're going to continue those public meetings and outreach sessions moving forward as we think about, when BRT comes to Syracuse Onondaga County, when On Demand comes to Syracuse Onondaga County, what will that mean for the system as a whole, and just really reviewing all of the things. So we'll continue that public outreach effort. And that's it.
Thanks for your energy.
Yes.
Bruce?
Morning, everyone. Happy holidays. Okay, our trapeze upgrade, which started several months ago, still a work in progress. We're currently in the user acceptance testing phase. We're working through some minor issues, and our projected go live date is sometime in March of 24. Over the last couple of months, Northwind Communications, our internet service provider, has been doing a lot of equipment, major upgrades to their equipment, and this is going to ultimately improve our performance and resiliency. Our equipment upgrades and installations, after several months of working through some scheduling and configurations issues, we now have internet for the driver's lounge here in Syracuse and all the outlying areas there, and we're looking to expand to the hub here and the Utica Rome area. We've installed several new security cameras and upgraded our Barracuda backup appliance in the Utica area. Just this past week, we had HP here, and they were doing a storage upgrade for our virtual infrastructure, which doubled our capacity, so we got room to grow there. We continue to upgrade computer systems in the organization, and our focus is on the ones that won't support our Windows 11 rollout or initiative there. Last piece with equipment, our Genetec servers, which support all the security cameras in the organization, they're nearing end of life, so we'll be looking to replace them in the very near future. With regards to our cybersecurity program, as that program continues to mature, we continue to look for tools to help us achieve our security objectives. We just acquired and rolled out our new AI-powered email program. Because this is a new program, there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period for users as they learn the new way of doing business. And if anyone on the board is interested in taking a look at what we're doing in the cyber realm or the tools that we're looking at or currently using, you're more than welcome to stop on down and let you know or show you what's going on there. We're pilot testing hardware tokens also for our authentication to the cloud, because a physical hardware token is much more secure than using like an authenticator app or having a text message sent to you. So we're currently pilot testing that. We're also researching software for what they call privileged management and vendor remote access, because we got a lot of vendors that remote in to support numerous different systems in the organization, and we need to do that securely. So we're looking at ways and software to do that. That's pretty much what I have from my report. Unless you have any questions.
How well is the security camera working on it at all?
I haven't heard of any issues unless you know of something. Something I can take a look at.
No, just like I was seeing on Sunday morning, I come through and, you only have one guy down there on Sunday morning. How, am I making sense? How, are you aware of something that's going on?
That isn't under IT's purview to see what's going on. That would be the security.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the cameras are functioning down at the facility. We do have the one security guard down there. I mean, it's manned 24/7 with security plus supervisors and support staff here. If there's issues, like Steve said, certainly let us know. We can
Is it
investigate that.
a central issue or is it a Syracuse police issue.
That's what.
We partner with both, but we have to be made aware of a situation.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
so, depending on what it is, but we'll investigate what you're speaking to, and then we can make an assessment from there. But, we work hand in hand with SPD if they're needed, but also security down there and then our own staff.
Julius, from an IT perspective, our job is to make sure that whatever the need is, we put it in there, make sure that
Make sure it
everything's
works.
make sure
Other than that, hey.
Monitoring it and resolutions goes to a different department, but yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks.
Jeff?
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everybody. We're just gonna talk to you about, in October, we went to APTA. And APTA's always good for seeing new vendors, talking to other colleagues, and sessions. There was 2 sessions I wanted to talk to you about that I thought were good. Something piggybacking off of Jackie. It was a workforce development. It was a group of us from all across the country. We sat down and they said, we're gonna put you in groups, recruiting, hiring, retaining, interviewing, so on and so forth. So I jumped into the recruiting, so I was curious. And I asked everybody, you having a hard time finding mechanics in particular? Because that's one thing that we're having a hard time. Nobody in the area, you put something out there, nope, but we can find drivers, we can create them. And they all said yes, and it was something we discussed. I told them, look, this is what we're doing. We have open house. We have the commercials out there. They really liked the commercials. It was really well regarded. They asked for them, so I gave them to them. Look, that's okay. In addition to that, some of the things that I took away was working with local schools, colleges, which we were working with OCC. And then one of the agencies says they're working with the military base. They go down there and they ask them, they go into them and say when they're about ready to retire or leave, they say, hey, you got an automatic job interview. If we had a military base a little closer than, Fort Trump, it might be a little easier.
What about Hancock?
Jackie and I actually are in the process to reach out to Fort Drum to try to explore this avenue after the first year, so.
What about Hancock?
We could probably reach out to them too.
Yes, I mean,
I have mechanics out there.
Yeah.
Different kinds.
Just in case.
Yeah.
But they mentioned it was something to just take away the stress, they're coming off of something, they're not familiar, they gotta get back in the marketplace. So it was a nice transition, I was like, that's neat. And the last thing was internships, reaching out to students in colleges and local schools. And then the other one was zero emissions. It was battery electric buses. One of the agencies discussed their thermal event, which is when their batteries catch on fire. So the issue here is that what do you do? And since this is so new, they described what happened, what they were trying to do. In order to put it out, you got to throw a lot of water on it or just drown it. With that in mind, that water's going to be contaminated. So now what do you do with the contamination? So usually the bus goes up and it's gone. So this is something that's out there. Fortunately, we don't have them yet, but this is something we got to think about.
Yeah.
So in November, BA, one of our vendors, had stated they have a battery safety course in Binghamton College. So we took some of the managers and some of the employees down there to attend this course to see what it would do and help us out for the future, which was I really appreciated that. And the last thing is, one thing we were looking at the conference was a new barrier. And we got one of the barriers installed already. At first glance, it looks great. It's providing more coverage, more safety. The only unfortunate thing is in the back when they installed it, there's a gap. So they're going to come back out hopefully next week to fix that, and then we'll go from there. But all in all, this seems to be a robust and a much better barrier than what we currently have. Any questions?
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Robin.
During Robin's presentation, we asked the board for a motion on something, so I don't want anybody sleeping here.
Thank you, members of the board. So it's been very busy over the past few months since I last reported in operations. As Chris and some others mentioned, there are a lot of different events that we've been supporting in operations. SU basketball games, Lights on the Lake, Stuff a Bus, just to name a few. Call a Bus has been especially busy. Although I'm not going to be giving a full report on Call a Bus, I just wanted to give you some statistics. Ridership continues to grow. We have had 23 of the 25 busiest days on record for Call a Bus, 23 have occurred over the past few months. We are continuing to see increases in demand. And with that increased demand, we've also increased our observations and inspections with our vendors. As you know from Linda's presentation, the purchase transportation has increased drastically. With over 150 observations and inspections over the past few months, we have identified several deficiencies. Our vendors have corrected those very quickly. And we've even gotten to the point where at least one vendor has been talking with us about how they can create their own inspection and random inspection program, and we're working with them to do that. And that's exactly what we want. We want our vendors to be ensuring the quality of service that we expect. With that said, we are also still working, as I mentioned in the past, on reestablishing a permanent supervisor role that would oversee Call a Bus. We're not there yet, but that's one of our goals in the department.
Speaking of Call a Bus, how easy is it for a senior who do not know all the system to get into Call a Bus?
Well, we have requirements, and every application is reviewed. How easy is it?
We've simplified it a lot over the years, and we're certainly here to assist. There is some paperwork that your medical provider would have to fill out to put you in as part of the application process. That's probably the most complex, but they take care of that. The rest is really generalized information, and then you submit that to us. We would authorize approval, and then from there you can either call, or there's an automated system that you can call and make a reservation 24 hours in advance, and then we call and remind you 24 hours prior to your trip that you have a trip tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So it's pretty simple. Like I said, I think the complicated piece would be the medical piece.
So the medical piece, is it actually filling out paper, or can they call, is it something online where the medical could fill it out to them?
No, it's physical paper. It's a physical paper application right now for the medical piece. We're looking at moving things to the online portal to do that. There's some security pieces and things that I'm sure IT would want to review prior to getting into that, depending on what's being discussed in those forms. But
so they call you to get the papers sent to them so they can fill it out.
Mm-hmm. Or they can come down and pick them up. Yep.
So, but the paper's going to their medical provider.
It goes to the individual first, and then they would provide part of that to the medical provider, and then submit the application as a whole back to us for review and approval. And then we set them up with an ID number that they can use to now book trips, and they have it's designed to their profile once we create it.
Yes,
in our
no,
system.
it's just technology. Yeah.
He was asking me about that.
So switching gears a little bit, Jackie and Jeff, we were discussing APTA, and I wanted to discuss a little bit about the APTA conference as well. It was a great learning and networking opportunity, and I took full advantage. I attended a lot of great sessions, some on racial equity, and there was a racial equity commitment roundtable. There were several other committees that I joined. I joined the DEI Council, the Operations Committee, and speaking to DEI a little bit, it's always been something that I've been very interested in, and I think that it's an area that we can make some improvements here at Centro-On as well. Learned a lot about the APTA, the work that APTA is doing in this area. There's a APTA Racial Equity Commitment Pilot Program that was started back in May of 2022. Over 75 APTA member organizations signed on to this commitment, RTS, CPTA, MTA. That leads me to one of my goals. I would like for us to, as an organization, to adopt many of the core values in that commitment, and potentially even the entire commitment, but working with the executive team and hopefully adding some of those values into our larger strategic plan. I don't know if anybody has any questions on that. And then lastly, we're looking for a board approval. It's the time of year that we are submitting our Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, and there are federal and state requirements for safety plans, and in the past we have combined the two plans to make one composite safety plan. And there really hasn't been that many changes over the past year, other than a lot of reformatting, updating of data, and minor policy and practice changes that just get updated because it's a living document. So as we change things, we update the document. There's a requirement that the Labor Management Safety Committee approve it. We have submitted it to Frank and Labor Safety Management Team. We've received their approval, and at this time, we're going to be looking for approval from the board on the safety plan. And we, in an effort to save trees, we only printed one copy, so I don't know if it's been handed around.
So this is in the middle of the table here, the red binder. I think some of you guys remember last year, it was north of 700 pages. So they, operations with Ramen and our security team, I know Susanna jumped in on this, they reformatted a lot of things, sorted some things out, they've got it down to just over 100 pages. So a significant improvement, certainly for the labor management team and Frank to review this. It certainly helped. So that's what's in the middle of the table if anybody wants to look at it. But that's what he's requesting. The board needs a motion to approve so that we can certify to the federal government that it was board approved to move forward.
We trust our very talented, knowledgeable staff. With that, I'll ask for a motion. Darlene, second. Well, any discussion? All in favor? I know a lot goes into that, so good job.
Thank you, Ron. And that concludes our reports, Mr. Chairman.
Any old business? Okay. So, yeah, we'll skip over, there's only two things. Putting my time in here. Yeah. So, I need a motion for the financial statements for November. Robert, second. Monty, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion for the revision of the CNYRT Transit Assessment Management Plan that Tara presented. Julius, second. Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any old business? Any new business? New business is the entire board is invited to our holiday celebration downstairs immediately following our meeting here today. At this point, I need a motion to an executive session. Darlene, second. Robert, any discussion? We got all in favor, but so at this point, I'll ask Okay, we just came out of the executive session. No action was taken. I want everybody to have a nice holiday season, enjoy it, and try to spend some time with your family and friends. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay.